right, this is Ryan Payton for the Kojima Productions Report, our weekly podcast or your official source of all Kojima Productions related stuff. And I'm joined with two guests on the program, two people who have never been on the program before, and I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Michael Schelling. I am the new Director of Public Relations here at Konami Digital Entertainment, and this is my first podcast, so if I sound a little nervous, please forgive me.
And my name is Fernando Bustamante. I'm the product manager for the Metal Gear Solid series here in the U.S. And again, as Michael just mentioned, this is my first podcast as well.
First experience.
And first experience.
It's a, I have to admit that, well, everybody's had their first podcast experience, and this is, I think, our 62nd podcast, and I would recommend not listening to number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4.
From what I understand, they do get better.
They do get better. It gets better with practice.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for around 100 when it's going to be really good.
There you go.
Something to work up to. But, the reason I called in Michael and Fernando into the show is to talk about E for All. I mean, that's the big show this week, right, in LA?
Yeah, this is E for All. It's funny. This is, for those of us who have been in the industry for a while, we kind of tend to get a little jaded with trade shows in the sense that they're, always kind of industry to industry, business to business. Well, this is one of the few opportunities that we have to actually go out and, kind of touch gloves with the actual consumers who get to, who are the people that actually, whip out their ATM cards and go into their wallets on day one. And I think that's fantastic. I like those shows simply because you get a whole different audience who maybe is a little less jaded, who's a little more excited about the products and particularly now some of the stuff that you're going to be kind of telling people about as we get further in the podcast. This if you're on the fence about coming, hopefully after what you hear today, that it'll definitely change your mind. It'll definitely make your mind up for you.
Right, and the point of this as well, I think, with E for All, is that it's focused on a gaming experience. Because before you'd have a lot of publishers and developers go out to other events, and they kind of piggyback on Comic-Con, which is a huge annual convention in San Diego. They're piggyback on anime expositions like Anime Expos.
Right.
But you have this one that's just focused on gaming. That's when you go walking through the doors, you're going to see gaming booths.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. So yeah, it's October 18th through 21st, LA Convention Center. We have Metal Gear Solid 4 playable and Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus playable. Both games will be there, and pretty exciting. And like you were saying, Michael, it's easy for us to get jaded, especially if we're talking to press about E for All, because we get to go to every show, and sometimes it does feel like a consumer show going to the previous E3s because there were so many people that snuck in or who really weren't in the industry. But this really is a good opportunity for a legitimate consumer show. So.
Yeah, and I think that from an industry perspective, I think that whether it's a show like this or whether it's Comic-Con or whatever, I think these shows are an inevitability. A lot of you get a lot of companies that do either their retailer shows or they do their kind of standalone gamers days or whatever, where they actually do get a chance to tap into retail buyers, foreign press, enthusiast press, consumer press, but again, you don't really have that situation. And I mean, I come from kind of an experience where, and a background where, kind of tapping the people who actually play the game and actually are your evangelists are really important. I mean, I came over from Sony Online Entertainment working on the EverQuest franchise and the EverQuest 2 franchise, and I also spent some time, if some of you can remember, back in the Westwood Studios days on Command & Conquer, and
that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing that
there wasn't an age joke, by the way.
The thing that they both have in common is that they have a thriving and a strong, passionate community of players that, in a lot of respects, sustain whatever, you call it whatever you want, buzz, hype, or whatever the hell you want to call it. they sustain a lot of that in between whatever it is we actually communicate to the media about the products.
Well, I think that makes this going to be a good transition for you. I mean, going from Sony Online to a game like a Metal Gear, which has got a very, very hardcore, very dedicated fan base, and also for as we move forward with Metal Gear Online, which we announced for PlayStation 3, it's really going to be really important, not only building up that hype or getting people excited about the game when it comes out, but also continuing that after, because we're going to be uploading different maps and different modes and things like that.
And I think, and also if we're in a position where we can actually create, and this is purely speculative on my part, where we can create a tool set or create that will allow the community to actually upload and create their own maps and design their own experience. Those are the types of things that, again, kind of make our worlds relatively easier in the sense that, people feel a connection. They feel, they feel like they're a vested interest in the product.
We've done that in previous Metal Gears where we allowed users to design different camouflage, which was pretty cool. As far as building maps, I don't know if we're going to do that with Metal Gear Online, but going back to your experience at Sony Online, I just wanted to use this opportunity to thank you for the great job you did on that. On one of the titles, it was EverQuest Online Adventures on PlayStation 2, which happened to almost get my brother expelled from school.
Cool.
I think he was one of the only ones in town that was actually playing it, and but he got so into it. I have a picture of him, like he's laying down on the couch, like he looks like he's half passed out. He's got this huge afro. He hasn't had a haircut in about 6 months. He's got 2 PlayStation controllers on each lap, and he's got keyboards, and he's got 2 PlayStation 2s and 2 TVs. And he's just been dual boxing for like a week at that point.
Dual boxing on console. That's
is
hardcore.
hardcore.
That
Yeah,
is hardcore. Right. I mean, I've heard stories of people dual boxing on PC, but not console.
Good job, Michael.
Yeah, I think you must have had something to do with that.
Well, I mean,
my mom's gonna be calling you after this podcast.
I gotta tell you, it's EverQuest franchise, whether it was on PC or on console, really did a lot to change the face of video games. I mean, you talk, as much as people talk about, World of Warcraft, and, I don't begrudge the Blizzard guys anything, man. God bless them. They, at the end of the day, X million people worldwide is X million people worldwide.
Absolutely.
But, if it wasn't for, the multi-user dungeon games of the past, and if it wasn't for games like EverQuest, you wouldn't really see, even as it kind of floats over to console, you wouldn't really see the community building experience, that you see in games now. Whether it's other publishers on other platforms, or whether it's what's going on PS3. The face of gaming now, especially on the console, is changing, and online is actually been a key driver in helping build that sense of community among players.
It's going to be a challenge moving forward, especially because Metal Gear is a very international community. We get emails, really not from the majority from the United States. As far as my inbox is concerned, it's from people in Italy and Spain and in the Middle East and Canada, and it's pretty incredible. So it's going to be really interesting how that whole community comes together, because I get the impression that EverQuest or titles like that are really centered in the United States, but maybe I'm wrong.
There was I think we had a significant player base in like Germany, France. One of the growing player bases that we actually had within the last year was Japan.
Oh, really?
And we actually,
that's a tough market to break.
Yeah, and a year ago we actually launched EverQuest in Russia.
Cool.
Huh. So we launched EverQuest and EverQuest 2 in Russia, and and it's funny because you see PC cafes popping up in like just the craziest places now.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, wow, you guys barely have running water, but you have a PC cafe.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And if you don't mind, maybe Fernando, you can talk about where you came from too, because we're building this new team in Konami. We've relocated our main office from Redwood City down to El Segundo, right, Southern California. So you're not originally from Konami in Redwood City office, but
no, been here for for about 3 months. It's and that's actually pretty long for someone on the marketing team here. But like you mentioned, Ryan, regarding the the number of fans, international fans, and the great community that Michael alluded to with Metal Gear Solid, is that obviously the storyline is such a huge, impactful element of the game and the series. Coming from, I used to work at Square Enix for about 10 years, and so seeing the effect that role-playing games had on users, they're just so compelling. With Final Fantasies and the Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah,
I mean, these guys grow attached to
They
them.
drink the Kool-Aid over there, don't they?
It's been,
It's amazing.
10 years. It's been 10 years since Final Fantasy VII, which was a seminal title for the PlayStation.
Mhm.
You still have people showing up at conventions and dressing up like Cloud.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, in the next couple of days we're at E4all and there are Metal Gear Solid fans dressed up as Snake.
I hope so. If there's not, I'd be really disappointed.
I'd be disappointed too, because I was promised there's going to be a group of them out there.
Yeah, that's but that's kind of part. I think that's part of kind of the growth and evolution of this industry. Something that was usually kind of reserved for Comic-Con or Anime Expo or Gen Con. I think the cosplay phenomena is really starting to kind of find its way, into North America.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward. We don't. That's the thing, is we don't know what to expect from E4all. So it'll be really interesting when we get there on Thursday and see what the lines look like. Also to see what the lines look like for our we have a merchandising booth. I don't know if it's in the Konami booth or is it just one area?
It's going to be in the Konami booth. So it'll actually be right in the center of the Konami booth. You're going to have consoles surrounding the booth, like on the perimeter. So you just have to walk in, and it's not a fairly large booth. Just walk in and you'll be able to find a retail counter, and there's a lot of exclusive merchandise from what I hear just for this show. Not even exclusive, available in limited quantities, but it's limited quantities at this show.
So yeah, we got the Metal Gear 20th anniversary T-shirt that we designed in Japan, and we've kind of modified from the TGS version, which we're going to be selling at E4all. There's only going to be 300 of those shirts that are arriving tomorrow, so just one day before the show, really last minute. But so that's definitely if you want to get in line on that on Thursday, because I don't know how long it's going to last.
That's going to sell out.
Yeah, that will sell
first
out.
day.
Hope so.
You heard it here first.
Well, those are usually show exclusives are usually among the first to go.
Mm-hmm. I wish we would have made more than 300, but I guess that's part of the mystique of it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I just flew in today from Japan with the new reworked demo
Nice.
in my suitcase.
Awesome.
We've got the same areas that we showed at TGS that we had people play at TGS, but this version is in English. We've tweaked a couple things. We made the controls a little bit more intuitive. Some things that people got kind of hung up on, like as far as like just certain like little context sensitive moves. We smoothed those out a little bit. The AI's been tweaked, and a couple other things we'll leave for the gamers to figure out when they play it, and they can post on message boards and notice like something that they didn't notice that's different from what the U.S. press has reported on at TGS. But so, and also the cool announcement we have is they're going to have the new DualShock 3.
Wow, that's huge.
That's nice.
That's huge.
So thank you Sony Japan for letting us borrow all these DualShock 3 controllers, which I brought over today.
Thank you, Ryan, for hand carrying these controllers.
Yeah,
that is really, I mean, that's big news.
So we're going to have those up, chain link to the kiosks, so you can
pretty much
you can play Metal Gear Solid 4 as it was intended to have with the rumble function. So.
Right. I think the number of controllers that will probably be available at the kiosk will be limited in number. So I think we'll have 12 kiosks. We have 12 kiosks planned for Metal Gear Solid 4. Maybe 10 kiosks will have the rumble controllers.
Right.
So I guess first come, first serve.
Right, definitely. So first come, first serve, you can get your hands on those DualShocks. And what else we got on the list? Anything you?
Well, yeah, we've got some things that are going on with some of our other franchises, at the show, Castlevania and Contra. Of course, everybody's, favorite Dance Dance Revolution. So there'll be a lot of fun stuff for people to do there. Mm-hmm. This is, again, I guess for those of you who are kind of undecided, I would tell you that Metal Gear Solid 4 is probably going to be one of the most highly anticipated titles for 2008, and this is going to be your one chance to actually play this game prior to it actually launching next year. So, I mean, if you want to say I was there when,
right?
I mean, this weekend is your best shot.
Just to address that, there's been a lot of rumors about, why do I need to go to the show floor? They're just going to upload it next week on the PlayStation Store. I can tell you, as of right now, we don't have any plans of uploading this demo on the PlayStation Store. So, if you have to drive, an hour to the E4All demo, I don't think you're going to think it's wasted, because we're not going to be uploading it next week.
I would drive 2 hours. I would drive 3 hours. If I live anywhere near LA or maybe in the Bay Area, I do that drive. It's just a weekend.
I mean, it's
It's gonna be fun. And Nintendo's
gotta
got too,
be.
right?
Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be, you're gonna have a lot of your favorite, game companies will be there, and again, bear in mind this is a rare opportunity, for folks that are just plain people who like I said, the people that wait in line at Midnight Madness sales, the people that go into Best Buy day one and plunk down their money. This is a rare opportunity for you to actually get a chance to play some games prior to them being available.
Right.
More importantly, to get your chance to kind of meet some of the people that are making these games. To meet like Ryan and talk to him about, hey, how did you get in the business? Because I know, one of the most frequently asked questions when I go to trade shows, whether it's consumer trade shows or otherwise, is how do you get in the business?
And I'll be there to field those questions. I'm excited to be meeting the real consumers.
Yeah. Because I mean, I would that a lot of people that come to these shows have dreams of developing the next great video game. And they all they're looking for is kind of somebody that can, in a lot of respects, just kind of reassure them that, hey man, it may not be easy, but it can happen.
Right.
I've been doing PR for video games for almost 10 years. 10 years. I started out as a contractor working for Psygnosis, working on stuff like Colony Wars, Formula One, G-Police. So, I've been at this rodeo for a while, and it's been interesting to kind of see the industry grow and evolve and become a real live business, and not just kind of guys tinkering around in their garage making games for their friends.
Right.
But I would encourage anybody who is looking for a fun weekend, looking to actually get their hands on some of the hottest games that are going to be coming out in 2007 and 2008, come to Convention Center, and I guarantee you will not be sorry.
And I'm going to bring in this MP3 recorder around, maybe talking to people and trying to put together a show and just get a kind of general vibe, because we have a lot of listeners that are not in the United States and not in the West Coast, so they're not going to have an opportunity to go to the show. But definitely check the web and look up people's responses about the game. And also I've got a survey that I prepared, like a questionnaire for people that finished the demo, and we're going to be pulling some people in and asking their opinions about the game, what they played, and those. I'll be there and I'll be checking each one of those surveys, and I'll make sure that a lot of your comments and your suggestions make it into the final product. And that's something I'm really excited to hear about, because I got some great feedback at Tokyo Game Show, but mostly it was foreign press, and you get a different impression from foreign press than you do from like average gamer, hardcore gamer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really excited to hear what people have to say.
Yeah.
And a little bit scared too.
Well,
more fun than scared.
Yeah. It's about
but,
60-40.
It's good. I mean, you need to, those are people you need to hear from, and mind you, somebody will probably come to you and say, you need to be able to ride elephants in Metal Gear.
Yeah,
so
I'll be like,
dude, no.
I'll call Hideo.
Yeah.
And put him on the phone.
Yeah, I'm sure Kojima-san's not keen on elephant racing in Metal Gear Solid, but there are some things, and that's interesting. There are some things you're like, hey, you know what? I never really thought about that. That's not a bad idea.
Well, I'm not going to say what I'm going to be watching for, but I've got a list about 4 different things that I'm going to be watching how people play, and
see if you can guess what Ryan's going to be looking for,
and then see what you can get, and guess what I changed in the final product,
Yeah.
because I'm really on the fence about a couple things, and depending on how people play, I might change a couple of issues. But you know, just to switch topics before I forget, is Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus is going to be on the show floor. 4
right.
kiosks,
Yes.
Yeah.
multiplayer.
I think that's changed in a couple of weeks. Originally we had like 2 kiosks,
Right.
but we want to really bring that multiplayer experience, and it's going to be available there at the show. So, you know, before Metal Gear Solid 4, probably want to get in line first for Metal Gear Solid 4. After you play that, then you have that opportunity to play Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus, multiplayer experience the way it's meant to be played.
Yeah, and that actually, we actually have gone gold on that product. We're currently in manufacturing, and we are scheduled to launch to retail November 13th.
Cool.
So this is a great opportunity again to kind of get a heads up on the Metal Gear experience for your PSP, and get some hands-on time for that with that product prior to its launch.
And we had previous, like Fernando said, we had 2 kiosks originally planned to have make it more of a story-based mission, the Infinity mission mode there. And I'm a little bit bummed because I actually wrote some special E4All specific text into that build because I knew it was only going to be an E4All, but I know that we're only having this multiplayer.
Oh.
So I'm a little bummed about that, but multiplayer comes first because it is really a multiplayer-centric game. So.
Right.
But anyway, maybe we should just close it out. This is just kind of a quick. Just want to squirt out a podcast before head to the convention center and start building
Before the
the
show.
booth and
Right.
putting out some fires. But I thank you guys for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having us. This was cool.
Yeah.
And
Thanks
for
a
working
lot.
with me. I mean, nobody envies you guys, your positions for having to work with me for the next 6 months and launching this game, because especially Michael, because I don't work very good with muzzles, and I know I probably say a lot of things I shouldn't, and so I'm really excited about working with you, making sure that I don't.
Well, we'll just make sure
Say
that
too many
just make sure that
controversial
things are properly messaged, and as long as you're not throwing F-bombs at Sam Fisher or anybody like that, or
my problem,
or Master Chief. Or
my problem is I'm just too honest, I think, and I say what I think, and I know that's not always best, but that's what I have to deal with, And,
Well, that's kind of why I'm here, just to kind of manage that whole process, and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
It'll be fine.
It's be cool. And thank you, Fernando, for joining the team, and looking forward to the next. We're looking to launch early 2008.
Right.
We got a lot of stuff. We got to figure out the MGS4 packaging. we got to master. We have to decide one. Right?
I'm gonna let people figure that out on their own. I'm gonna let people figure that out. There's a monkey drinking cola in underpants.
Maybe the next podcast.
Well, we'll save that for later.
Save it for much later.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.